Hi, I'm Aaron, and this is how to keep your project on budget. Holy smokes, this is a huge topic. It's a passion of mine ever since I've been a project manager and had to sit in budget meetings where I've had to tell clients that their project is going or trending over budget. It's a feeling that you don't ever shake, and you feel like the client is looking at you saying that we trusted you and you let us down. Now, sometimes that's the case, and sometimes that isn't the case, and we'll look at a bit more to do with that as we move through the kind of the nuts and bolts of this today. But one thing that I hate is the classic phrase that often I get from clients, well, it always costs more than you think, or budget 30% more than you think you should. And while I fully acknowledge construction projects are difficult and complex undertakings and can be really difficult to execute well, they're built from drawings, and unless those drawings substantially change, blown budgets are simply a result of one or both of two things: laziness and ignorance. Hot take, I know. Please let me explain. Hey guys, just a quick reminder to like and subscribe. Really helps out. If you do, I'll teach you how to juggle. Even though I don't know, we'll learn together. And if you do, I'll paint a portrait of you like a Renaissance painter. And if you do, we'll learn how to line dance together. You can take the lead, I don't mind. So how it works. Construction projects as they relate to budgets can be broken down into two phases: the budget and the work. The budget is mostly, almost completely comprised of the estimate. The estimate is a quantification of all the available known data and the costs related to your project. So it would encompass the subcontracts, all the materials, all the labor, all the equipment, all known data, all quantifiable costs should go into the estimate. That estimate is then approved by the client and rolled over into the budget. The next phase is the work. And that's where the work is carried out, where the actual activities of building the project take place and where the actual costs are compared to the budget. Unsurprisingly, the budget is where we're going to look first. And also unsurprisingly, the budget is usually the main culprit in blown budgets. To explain why, we'll examine what a budget should be in comparison to what it is and oftentimes where it falls short. So what an estimate should be is essentially a checklist. It's a chance for the estimator to use their budget as a checklist to examine all of the available cost codes that could be used in a project. Cost codes would be line items, specifically like maybe building materials or a site toilet or a temporary crane. And they see if they apply to that specific project. They're going to quantify the costs associated with all aspects of executing the work, and using that list of essentially a really comprehensive list of cost codes. So we can look at, just make a fictitious project up like, say, a garden shed just for the purposes of illustration. So for a garden shed analysis, we would use a checklist to think about all aspects of this. We would think about, do we need any subcontractors for this garden shed? Using all aspects, all those line items that we might be looking at. So do we need any subcontractors for excavation maybe? What are the materials that we're going to need? Are we going to need any equipment, any scaffolding, any ladders? Do we need to rent any tools? And do we need are there any labor? Are we paying anybody? Do we need a helper to help us? So we have to look at all four of those: subcontracts, materials, equipment, and labor, SMEL, S-M-E-L, and be as detailed as possible, because in truth, even if there are very few costs, there are very few costs, in fact, even in pre-construction, that can't be quantified. More on that in a second. So finding cost certainty. This is one gigantic mistake that builders make with respect to budgets, and why my laziness comment from earlier is well-founded. Other than earthworks, there's no reason the estimator can't achieve high levels of cost certainty from prior to the build starting. What builders often do, for example, is if the light fixtures haven't been chosen yet, is they'll carry allowances. Allowances in the estimate for a certain quality of fixture so that the clients don't have to choose everything before the build starts. Allowances are fine to do, though not the best, but clients have to be realistic about their taste and quality level that they're actually looking for. Another pitfall of estimates is that the estimator often doesn't go far enough to consult the people actually doing the work. I've been guilty of this myself. Estimating labor is tricky, but if you don't talk to the people actually doing the work, it's really guesswork. I've made this mistake more than once, and I've really learned some tough lessons. So the reason I mentioned earthworks earlier is to make a point, to illustrate a point. If I were teaching right now, I'd write this on the board and I'd underline it twice. The higher level of task uncertainty, the higher level of variability there can be for cost. I'll say that more clearly. The higher the level of uncertainty in the task, the more variability there can be for cost. Earthworks especially can be tricky, and there's always a caveat in my estimates for this because we don't know what's under the ground. Sometimes everything can look perfect and underneath you're just scraping bedrock and it's time to get out the dynamite and blast, and that gets really expensive. Sometimes you have to drill, sometimes you see water, sometimes you see different material than you were expecting. So earthworks is one part of estimates that I fully will give builders some leeway on not nailing down exact cost certainty. Another opportunity that I sometimes see builders miss is the opportunity to think about all scenarios. The estimate document should be designed to make the estimator consider all scenarios in the project that may occur. If you're in a cold climate and you're building through the winter, maybe you get a dump of snow or several dumps of snow that take your crew maybe half a day to shovel. Well, that should be carried in the estimate. There's a line item in your estimate for snow clearing, and the client might ask, well, what's that for? And you say, well, if we get a big dump of snow, then we'd like to carry some money in the estimate in case our labor crew has to shovel snow out of the building. If you are building through the hot climate, maybe add 20% in labor, because once temperatures reach a certain degrees, at least where I live, workers have to take mandatory breaks every hour. So you're gonna lose a percentage of your labor and your productivity, not to mention it's just harder to work in the searing heat or the freezing cold. Safety meetings are another one. If you have half an hour safety meeting every Monday or Friday morning, what have you, then that's half an hour that the whole crew is on site, their wages are being paid by the client, but they're not doing any value-added activities. So that should be carried in your estimate as well. And if you think, well, this is all kind of minor, isn't it? But truthfully, I tell you that blown budgets are death by 1,000 cuts. I'll say it again, blown budgets are often death by 1,000 cuts. It's not usually one cost code, one thing that went way over budget. It's usually a bunch of little things that add up, and next thing you know, you're looking at a $50,000 overage and you're underwater on your house by the time you even move in. The key takeaway here is do absolutely everything you can to ensure cost certainty for every line item available in your budget. Cost certainty means getting the post-construction cleaner to commit to a price, not just the time and materials rate. Cost certainty means choosing all your plumbing and all your fixtures before your estimate's complete. That's a pain in the neck sometimes. See my free client decision list on albatrossacademy.ca to help you with that. Cost certainty means thinking about your landscaping, detailing that out, choosing the blinds you want prior to your estimate being complete. Choices can change, I understand that, but more likely they'll stay in the same price range that you chose earlier in the project, but it can be difficult on a lot of work pre-construction. I get that, but that's so much better than $30,000 in unplanned expenses because the client or the builder didn't want to do the work. So one thing I'd like to talk about is risk assessment matrix. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but essentially good project managers will do it. Sometimes in bigger companies, there's one person that their entire job is risk assessment. Essentially what it is identifying risk to your project, how likely that risk is to occur, what are the consequences of that risk occurring, and what can be done to mitigate the risk. So, for example, if we're talking about a snowstorm, what's the likelihood of that snowstorm to occur? This is all prior to the project starting. What are the consequences of that? Maybe we lose half a day of shoveling snow. What can be done to mitigate that risk? Well, we can carry extra money in our budget right away. And if it's not spent, then the client doesn't spend it. And that's how we mitigate the risk. If your contractor or builder doesn't think this is worth the time, then you might have to prepare yourself for an over budget project. So the second phase is called the work. We have the budget and we have the work. The estimator builder has put together the estimate now, and the client's approved it, and it rolls over into the official budget. And now the work begins on the project. There are many pitfalls that occur during this phase, but the first and major one is ignorance. Unless the builder and the client are tracking their budget versus actual expenses with some regularity, the project is asking to go over budget. Most of the time, this is just plain ignorance, as neither the builder nor the client are that excited about taking an active role in delivering the medium or bad news. Usually it's just a casual question toward the end of the project, like, oh, so how are we doing on the budget? So what to do? In project management, it's called control. As expenses come in, they have to be compared with the budget to see where things are at from a budget perspective. Budget meetings should be regular, at least once a month. That'll give the builder a chance to gather the accounts payable information that they're going to need to give you an accurate picture of how the costs are projecting. Of course, if there's a major overage in a specific cost code, the client should be notified immediately. Clients should be aware of projections at regular intervals, as they may need to make choices midstream to evaluate their selections and stay on budget. Clients will always assume that no news is good news, but for the builder, ignorance is no defense. Clients should be getting constant updates on the actual expenses versus the budget. It's so critical. It can be very overwhelming for a client to be sending sums and sums and sums of money like they would never have dreamed they'd spend in their lifetime out the door every month, and their level of unease is going to go through the roof if they can't compare it to their budget. And it shouldn't be up to the client to do this. If the first time the clients are hearing about a budget overage is at the end of the project, they're going to feel duped and that their trust was totally misplaced. Budgets are blown when no one is looking. I'll say that again. Budgets are blown when no one is looking. So, 3 key takeaways I'd like you to take away from this today. Firstly, the estimate. You have to ensure that all necessary line items and cost codes are evaluated. That if you don't do that, you're just asking for trouble. It's often not line items that go over budget that will blow budgets. It's unaccounted for line items. Number 2, account for the unlikely or the likely. Again, kind of harkening back to the first point. It's not often overages within line items, it's the unaccounted for line items that will get you. Are you likely, and carry those little, I won't say contingencies because I hate that word, but carry those little values for safety meetings, for snow removal, for maybe extra labor for that heat, for heat exposure. And the third one is the work. Monitor and control, especially early in the project when you still have time to make decisions where you can maybe pull back some of those expenses that are going to occur later on in the finishing stages. So monitor and control, it's so critical. Be hyper vigilant on that, and really and make sure you're categorizing your expenses within your individual cost codes. So monitor and control. And if you can do that, then you can save money for one, and you can also give yourself a much better chance of staying on budget. I sincerely hope that this video is really helpful for you in getting past any nervousness that you might be having with the construction project. They really are awesome experiences, and they can be awesome experiences, especially if you're prepared and knowledgeable going into them. So if you have enjoyed this, please come and visit me at albatrossacademy.ca, or for design services at albatrossdesigndraft.com. Also on the regular socials, mostly Instagram, but I'd love to see you. And if you have any questions, please comment down below. I read them, and I'd be happy to help. Thanks for watching.